I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good, good. It's good to meet you. Thank you for making some time today to do
Of
this.
course. Yeah, I was like, well, thanks for thinking of me. Let's do it.
To get started, I just wanted to start with, you've been an actor since you were a kid, right?
Yes.
So what is that? I think people hear horror stories, I guess, of child actors and kind of coming into adulthood and that what that transition is like. So I just wanted to hear about your experience with that.
Well, I don't have many horror stories. I'm really lucky in that regard. I have a phenomenal set of parents who are not artists at all, but when I told them I wanted to be one, and I was very certain about it at a very young age, my my mom kind of dove into all the books about child actors to try to figure out what it was that went wrong, and she said the common theme across all of the stories was that it felt like the career was more the parents wanting it than the kids wanting it, that the kids weren't allowed to be kids, that they missed sort of the normalcy of childhood. And so my parents were like, whatever level of success that he has, we have to make sure that first and foremost, he remembers that this is him who wants to do this. So like, if your grades aren't good, if your behavior isn't great, like, you don't do your chores, this is something that can be taken away. It's extracurricular. Um, College was a non-negotiable. It didn't matter what I majored in. I just had to go. I think those things helped my transition. It just made it more peaceful. It kept it mine. It allowed me to love it because there was no pressure in doing it. Um, it allowed me as a college freshman who was pre-med to, wake up one morning and be like, oh God, no, no, I have to be an actor. And then to tell them that and for them to be like, yeah, duh, everyone knew you're going to be an actor.
Right.
Um, so the hardest thing for me transitioning wasn't anything behavioral or anything like that. It was just like actually leaving for 4 years because I went to college back east, I went to Yale. And when I came back, there had been kind of a changing of the guard. And I thought I was going to come back and pick up where I left off. And I had to come back and pretty much start over again.
Wow. So you switched your major then
Yeah.
from pre-med, so you went to Yale drama.
Well, no, they always say technically yes, but I went to Yale undergrad theater program, which is separate from the drama school. But
But
my
it's
last two,
still,
yeah, my last 2 years there, I performed almost exclusively with the drama school. And then when it was time to graduate, I was like, well, should I come here? And they were like, I think you kind of got it, you
yeah,
know? And I was like, great. And I brought my behind back home to LA.
that's awesome. And you've been working ever since.
Yeah. Yeah. I said, I always tell people, progress, we always want progress to be leaps and bounds. And progress is usually, just small steps and one in front of the other, and that's
Mhm.
been the last couple of years, just constant, steady, lucky, blessed, just keeping that forward progression happening.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you why did you want to become an actor, but it sounds like it was something that's pretty ingrained in you, and I wonder why that is.
I that's a good question. I don't think I've ever thought about it. It's just, the story is that I was, probably 5.5 and I was watching a commercial and the little kid looked like me.
Yeah.
And, I just wanted to do that. I have an aunt, my dad's sister was an actress and a model when she was younger. My mom's sister did a lot of theater when she was younger. So it wasn't like it was a foreign idea. I just don't know what made me go, oh, that's what I want to do with my life. I really have tried, even this year, like as I've been lucky to keep working through the pandemic, but like I've been like, what are some other things maybe you could do that would bring you joy? And I'm like, there are other things I could do.
But they wouldn't bring me joy.
Joy would be missing.
Yeah, what is it, on that note, what has it been like to work through, or not through, I should say, but like in the pandemic, like in, because obviously the entertainment industry has shifted so drastically. Like, what's that been like for you?
It's strange. It's like I told a friend a couple months ago that it's like walking into the house you've lived in or you grew up in that's been the same your entire life, and then you walk in and like someone changed the furniture.
Mm.
And that's kind of what it feels like right now. It feels like someone just tweaked ever so slightly a space I'm very comfortable in. I started working June 11th was my first time. Sort of, I had to fly from LA to Arkansas, enter into a bubble for 2 months, and film the movie. And the first couple of days, it was really, really strange because I kind of, at the top of the pandemic, as a lot of us did, but I kind of was like very, very anxious. I'm from LA, so I left my own house. I went to my parents' house and just hung out there for 3 months. And then I left my parents' house to come back home to like pack a suitcase and fly across the country to film a movie. So it was a bit of a shell shock. But once I settled in, I was like, okay, wearing a mask takes some getting used to. When we were rehearsing, and so much of rehearsal is figuring each other out, but I can't see your face.
Right.
Um, there's an intimacy that's been lost. One of my favorite things on sets is just to hang out and watch other people work. I filmed a TV show this week, and I was saying to them as I was leaving today, I was like, thank you so much. This has been so great. But also, like, I missed that part where I could just come to set and watch you film other scenes.
Yeah.
Everything is so scheduled now to make sure that there's not a lot of cross traffic. But also, I just keep thinking how lucky I am that, during this unprecedented time, and as hard as it's been to even get productions going, that I've been able to be on so many.
What are you working on right now?
Today, I just wrapped an episode of a Disney Channel show called Bunked. Did a guest star on that. The movie I did this summer is called Ghost of the Ozarks. It's great. I mean, I got to do some ADR for it on Monday, just go in and fill in some dialogue, and saw like probably 15 minutes of it total. I'm just very excited. Tim Blake Nelson's in it, and David Arquette's in it, and Phil Morris is in it, and that's my first lead role in a movie. And it came in the middle of a pandemic, and I'm number one on the call sheet, and I'm hanging out with all three of them, but like Tim Blake Nelson is just such a he has the kind of career that you just kind of watch, and you hope one day you can have like half of the fun roles he's gotten to play. And David Arquette is obviously wonderful, and then Phil Morris, I knew Phil Morris, like I knew of him, and now he's like one of my favorite people on the whole planet, and just made the experience of filming really great. I had a lot of stress because the problem with any industry is we all want the big thing, and then when the big thing actually happens, then you're like, oh crap, I have to deliver now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, congratulations on the leading role. That's really exciting.
Thank you. It was such a ride. It started 4 years ago as a short film. There's two directors, and they've been buddies since college. And we met randomly, and they were like, "Hey, would you ever want to be in a short we're filming?" And I was like, "Sure. What do you got?" And they're like, "Well, he's a doctor in 1868 in the Ozarks, and it's not based on any one particular person. It's a mixture of a lot of like Black doctors that they actually found, in their research, and he comes from the north down to this town in the Ozarks that his uncle happens to be the mayor of. And 4 years later, you've got a 7-figure budget, and you're making the movie, and people with names and really impressive resumes are in it. Then this guy ends up in it somehow.
I was gonna ask you like what one of like your favorite projects that you've done so far is. I don't know if that would be one of them, because it seems like you play such a pivotal role in it, but maybe other than that, have you had something that you've really loved?
One of the roles in a movie called Be the Light, I actually turned it down 4 times because it scared me. And it's really funny. My mantra, I did a Nickelodeon show for years, and we finished in 15. And then since then, I've kind of just been like, I want to be scared. I want to be scared. I want to get scripts and not know if I can do them. I want to be up all night, stressed out about finding the right access point for the character, like all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then every time that happens, I freak out and I forget that I asked for it. So with this role, you know, he was very flamboyant and bigger than life. And I just didn't know if that lived in me, you know, like I was like, can I sustain that and make that a character for an hour and a half? Is this, what are we doing this for? You know, like, who is this? If this is just your comedic relief in your script, then not only do I not want to do it, but we need to have a discussion about, you know, how tired that trope is.
Yeah.
You know, like, we don't just do that anymore. And then they're like, oh no, here's the whole script, read his whole story. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is great. And he's so complex, and the reasons for why he is who he is are so well laid out. And now I have to do this. And and every day I would go to set, and my castmates would laugh at me because I would stand in a corner at the top of the day and I would start playing with my hands and just like, and they're like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm trying to figure out where he lives.
Right.
And for me, the access point is my hands. And so if my hands keep moving in these ways that are, you know, as my best girlfriend said, just be you after like 6 drinks. I was like, geez, what is that 6 drinks over a whole day? That's a lot. But yeah, so no, watching that was actually, filming it and then seeing it were really great highlights, because it was the most scared I've been putting a character together.
I mean, just to ask you something else about Ghosts of the Ozarks, or Ghosts. So what was that feeling that when you, because presumably you've been kind of like working since you were a kid and kind of wanting that kind of a role, I would assume, forever. And what was it like, what did it feel like to go on like set on day one and like be there and like just like embody your vision for yourself?
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. Day one was terrifying. Day 2 was wonderful. Day one was just, you know, like I said, I knew the writer, I knew the directors coming in. There was a little bit, right before filming started, there was a little bit of pushback on me as being the lead, you know, understandably. Once you get names, you know, all of a sudden it's like, Tim's like, well, maybe we could get, you know, someone else, you know? And so when I showed up, I was really insecure because I was like, I had this feeling of like, oh, well, I know the people who wanted me here. I don't know who initially didn't want me here. And now I feel like I'm showing up and I have to prove to someone, I don't know who that someone is, that like, I'm the right choice. I deserve to be here. And the executive producer of the movie walked up to me on day one and introduced herself. And then she was like, for me, it was always you. Like, I love you. And I had a couple of moments like that. And then I was able to settle in, because of course my very first scene up was like an 8-page scene that was like 6 pages of me talking.
Of course. And
I was like, oh God. When we got through all of that, and then Tim walked by me and he put his hand on my shoulder and he went, and I was like, ah. And then I relaxed. And then day 2, I showed up and I was like, holy crap, I'm number 1 on the call sheet. And like, so I have to be an example, you know, like I wanna be an example. I wanna, because, you know, Tim and Phil and David, they came in for like 2 weeks at each, you know, so they weren't there the whole 2 months. So I was like, I have to set the example for everyone. And I get to be the guy who like is here every day, who's in almost every scene, who gets to, you know, it was really wonderful. And I did have a bit of that experience. Like I said, I did a Nickelodeon show called The Fresh Beat Band for a couple of years. And there were 4 of us who were the stars of that. And there really is something, which is why when I meet like a-hole actors, I get really annoyed, because especially if you are the lead of something, your mood dictates the mood of the entire set. And so if you are not nice, not welcoming to the day players, not introducing yourself to whoever's coming into the world, not the movie I just finished. The lead actress in that is Olivia Applegate, and she is just so gracious every single day. If there's a new person on set, she's like, "Hi, I'm Olivia," and then she's making a point to remember your name, you
Yeah.
know. And I tried to do all of that, take all of the good habits I've seen on the sets I've been on, and try to be that. And it was really important too because we were all in a bubble. So it's like we really could only, still with masks on, only see each other. I wasn't allowed to do anything but film and then go back to the house that I was staying in.
No, yeah, it's funny when like you were saying, like when you kind of like when you doubt yourself, when you've been something, which is crazy because you are, basically an expert in acting. You've been doing it for the majority of your life, and then your first day doing something like the thing you've always dreamed of, you're like, wait, no, I don't know if I'm good. You know what I mean? It's funny how because everybody does that. Everyone doubts themselves.
Yeah, while understanding that it's human, I'm also working on it.
Yeah.
There are two things that I do with my career that I'm like, you got to be better. One, I doubt my abilities a lot. And I'm like, the evidence is laid out before you. You know what you're doing. And then the other thing I do is I downplay everything. So it's really like weird even doing something like this where I'm like, oh, you have to talk about it because I spend a lot of my time feeling like maybe I shouldn't. There, especially right now when there are so many people who are not working, who are not getting the auditions, maybe you shouldn't be telling everybody how much you're working. Maybe you should. And my buddy today said, he said, listen, you can't take someone else's blessing. So your blessings are yours. You can't be concerned about other things, he said. And in fact, your blessings could be used to inspire someone else. So if you're talking about what you're doing and what's happening for you, even if it's being received negatively by someone, it can still inspire them.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, I've actually never thought of that.
I heard something today that actually it resonated when it said like, because everyone has trouble. No one wants to seem like they're bragging,
Yeah.
And it was, this woman said like, if you like kind of like the squeaky wheel gets the grease mentality. Like if you don't tell people what you've done and how good you are, then they're going to go to the next person who is telling the people how good they are. So it's like, you have to,
A year and a half ago, I started going to therapy, which very late in the game, but I was like, yeah, I'm an actor. Most of my actor friends are in therapy. I should go talk to someone. And like one of the things that we really started to unpack was I had the best version of childhood acting that you can have in terms of like my family and support situation and all of that. It doesn't take away the fact that I spent my childhood being rejected. And that it was made abundantly clear to me that that rejection was not personal. And I've been able to compartmentalize that rejection. But then like I wasn't great at making friends. Like I got really anxious and still do as an adult get anxious like meeting new people because I'm like, oh crap, here we go. Like this is a rejection that is personal.
Wow.
And also within that is that a lot of my there were people who, when I was a kid, who thought that I thought I was better than them or other kids or things because I was doing these things. And I think I've also internalized that. And so as an adult, I'm still very weird about overly celebrating myself.
Right.
But yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And it's something that I never thought about, how social anxiety can come about because you are expecting a rejection. Like that's just really interesting. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, but totally valid.
Yeah, my partner makes fun of me because, and I always say, whatever, you're still here, so obviously it worked. But when we met, we were doing a workshop for a musical, and I talked about myself in the third person. Like I could not. I was trying so hard to like, be smooth and be like, hey, what's up? How you doing? You want to exchange numbers and like maybe get some burgers tomorrow? And instead, I was like, well, if one wanted to maybe this person like likes the other person and is very bad and shy and awkward about these kinds of things. So maybe the other person should make a move so that the other person can stop talking. It's just, and that was me, like, you know,
That's so funny.
trying to flirt because I was like, this rejection will suck. I will often be talking to someone and like laughing and having a good time and not realize that like I'm being flirted with. And then when I realize it, I'm very awkward about getting out of it because I'm like, no, listen, as a person who was not good at hitting on people, I understand like how much it takes out of you to do that, and then how gutting it is when those feelings aren't returned. So
You don't want to reject them, and like,
yeah, let me figure out the most diplomatic way to get out of this situation, which usually involves me just being like, oh, babe, come here. Let me introduce you to, let's say my partner. This is my partner.
it's a really cool job, acting, and and to be doing it your whole life. That's such a great achievement.
I think a lot of people only know like sort of the superficial parts of acting. For
Mm-hmm.
me, what I've always enjoyed about it, as cliche as it sounds, but it's true. Like I've just always enjoyed living in other people's minds and in other people's experiences. That like I think that it's it's made me from the good guys to the bad guys I've played. It's really made me have to confront things in myself, um, because in order to play someone, you have to find your common ground.
Right.
Um, like I said, the movie Be the Light that I talked about earlier, like in prepping for it, was like, oh, you have a little bit of internalized homophobia, bub. Wow. Okay. I wouldn't have expected that because why would I expect that? But no, yeah. One of your issues is there's a part of you that is scared of being seen this way. Okay. Wow. Now we have to really go into this
Right.
and really like live in it. For me, acting is really about learning about everyone and everything. I do that through acting. I do that through travel. I think travel is great too. I think if more people got to travel, the world would be a better place because we would all just understand that we're all the damn same.
And I think that COVID has been a good time for people to kind of reflect and kind of be still and be educated about so much stuff that was going on, whether it was like Black Lives Matter or like COVID fell over Pride Month. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of exposed to so many different things that, and because everything was shut down, you kind of just have to sit with those your own kind of feelings about those things and really process them.
Yeah, one of my friends was asking. It was a great episode of the first episode back this season of This Is Us. Did a great job of sort of confronting the Black Lives Matter thing because spoiler alert. But Kate and Randall were talking, and Kate was like, "Hey, I've been texting you, and I've been sending you all these pictures from all these protests I've been to and all these rallies, and I just want to say like I'm here for you, and like I hope you guys are okay, you and your family." And he was like, she's like, "I'm just so sorry." And he said, "What are you sorry for? What are you sorry for? What are you apologizing for? Like this has been happening for a long time, and you've never said anything. So why now are you sorry?" And I know there were a lot of Black and brown people this year who kind of felt that. And I was like, listen, I understand. But simple fact is, for the first time in modern history, everything stopped. And so you weren't as outraged as you could be about a police officer shooting a Black man a year ago. You could be outraged, and the next day the news cycle had moved on. And so had you, because you had so many other things to do.
Right.
With George Floyd spent 8 minutes suffocating to death, and we were all at home, and we couldn't stop thinking about it, and it wouldn't stop replaying, and people were really motivated to do something because there was no excuse not to.
I think in retrospect, people will start to understand like the meaning behind, like the deeper meanings behind COVID and the pandemic and the slowdown that was probably needed and the opportunities. I mean, obviously it was a terrible, terrible time, but the opportunities that it did for good that it did provide as well.
Yeah, and and then I got to like act through it, which was great. I told them with Ghost, I was, I said, I think I think I would have given a great performance, but by the time I showed up in Arkansas, the 3 months that led up to that had been so traumatic that like I was
A lot to express.
a lot to express, showing up on day one and I'm just like, I think I want to play the scene this way, and like tears are falling. And I was like, oh, okay. And my friend was like, you're like really emotionally available right now. I was like, oh, it's been a rough couple months. Like,
well, it sounds like a great movie, and I think I think, and I think, yeah, I'm excited for you, like I said, and I think it'll be great for people to see. So I don't want to take any more of your time, but like I said, thank you so much for sitting down, and yeah, I'm really excited to see what you have going on next.
well, thank you. This was a lot. I mean, I knew it would be because I was like, Mark, like I said, it's only been a couple of months, but I know him well enough to know that anyone he's going to introduce me to is going to be great. I didn't even ask him what it was for. I was just like, sure, yeah, okay, yeah. Let's do it.
Well, yeah, I'm glad. It was great to meet you too, and yeah, thank you.